Shocking updates in the investigation of doomsday cult mom Lori Vallow. Over a year before her children, JJ and Tally, disappeared, Lori's third husband, Joseph, died suddenly. Now new questions have come up about whether she was involved in his death. We've got Lori's alarming admission caught on tape, plus the latest from Joseph's sister, who is here today. But first, here's what you need to know about Lori and her fifth husband, Chad's alleged path of destruction. July 11th, 2019. Lori Vallow's brother, Alex Cox, shoots and kills her estranged fourth husband, Charles. When police arrive, he claims self-defense and that he was protecting Lori. But Lori had allegedly threatened to kill Charles if he got in the way of her mission as a god during the second coming of Christ. September 9th is when authorities believe Lori's 17-year-old daughter, Tylee, is killed, dismembered, and burned. Then buried in the backyard of doomsday author Chad Daybell's house, allegedly because her mom believed she'd become a zombie. Investigators say that 14 days later, JJ is killed and buried in the same location. On October 19th, Tammy Daybell, Chad's wife of nearly 30 years, dies suddenly, and her body is buried without an autopsy. 17 days later, Chad Daybell becomes Lori's fifth husband. And on December 12th, one day after authorities exhumed Tammy's body, Lori's brother Alex dies suddenly. A medical examiner determines it was from a pulmonary blood clot. But detectives say his case is still open. An astounding 5 deaths are potentially linked to Lori and Chad in their alleged quest to prepare for the end of the world, which was supposed to occur in the summer of 2020. 5 sudden deaths, and now should a sixth name be added to the list? Joining us now from East Idaho News is Nate Eaton. Nate, what do we know about Lori's marriage to her third husband, Joseph Ryan, and his now seemingly suspicious death?
Well, in the beginning, these two got along really well. In fact, all accounts are that people thought that they were perfect for each other because they were both outgoing, they were both personable, they both loved each other. But after they got married, things quickly went south. In fact, just 3 years after Tylee was born, this couple split up. They divorced, so she was just a toddler. And then years and years of custody disputes and arguments and back and forth continued from there.
So thanks to a recording of Lori released by Joseph's sister, police are now re-examining his death. In the audio from a 2018 religious gathering, Lori claims Joseph sexually abused her children. And then she says this, listen carefully.
I was going to murder him. I was going to kill him, like the scriptures say, like just to stop the pain and to stop him coming after me and to stop him coming after my children.
Now, the pain that she's referring to is her claims that Joseph had sexually abused her kids. Nate, what have you uncovered about these accusations?
Yeah, these are serious accusations and allegations. In fact, Tylee's older brother, Colby, has publicly said on the record to the media that he was sexually abused. On the other hand, you have Joe's former attorney who dealt with him during these custody disputes coming out and saying that it appears Tylee was coerced or, really kind of pushed into making these allegations back at the time. And the attorney says at one point she actually recanted and said that it didn't happen.
So we already know Lori's brother Alex killed her fourth husband, allegedly in self-defense. But years before that, I didn't realize this, he served time behind bars for an attack on Joseph, the third husband. So what happened in that incident?
Yeah, this happened back in 2007, right after Joe had a supervised visit with Tylee. Apparently, Alex went after Joe with a stun gun and tasered him, and it was serious enough that he was charged with aggravated assault and served time in jail. Years later, he did a comedy routine, Alex did, and it's online, you can watch it, and he joked about this during the comedy routine, saying, yeah, I did time for using a stun gun on my former brother-in-law, and laughed about it.
Oh my goodness. In the recording where Lori was confessing her desire to murder Joseph, she goes on to say that she ultimately decided to become more religious instead. Then she says God gave her a vision, that she had been a warrior for many centuries, and that she was sent to earth to fight for the end of the world. Take a listen.
And I got to see myself as a warrior fighting for the Savior in the premortal world. And I went to other worlds and I fought. And I was one of his strongest warriors. And I saw it. And he showed me so that I could never deny it again. I was not sweet, and I was not innocent. I am old. I have fought. I've fought in this war for millennia. And that's who I am.
Millennia is a long time, Nate. What other claims have you discovered about Lori's apparent extreme beliefs?
Well, we know that she and Chad believed that they were going to usher in the second coming of Jesus Christ. In fact, she and Chad believe that they are equal to deity, that they are in the same category of God, of Jesus Christ, of the Holy Spirit. And we know that she's been in jail now for 10, 11 months, and she is still reading her scriptures daily. She is still reading Chad's books daily. She is praying. She truly believes, as far as we can tell by all accounts, that she is a God.
Goodness. Well, Nate, thank you for being on the front line of all this. I'm sure we'll be speaking plenty more. Coming up, Joseph Ryan's sister is here with the latest as police re-examine his death. Plus, what she says Lori told her about the end of the world.
He was constantly trying to get custody of my 3-year-old daughter, just to rub it in my face. And I went through a lot of years of this kind of hard stuff, and I was going to murder him. I was going to kill him.
That was doomsday cult mom Lori Vallow confessing her desire to murder her third husband, Joseph. After Joseph's sister, Annie, released this recording to the media, authorities announced they're now re-examining his 2018 death. Annie joins us now. You're also Tylee's aunt, so I'm very sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
You want authorities to compare what happened to your brother, Joseph, to what happened to Chad's first wife and to Lori's brother, who also, both of whom died sort of under mysterious circumstances and were never really examined. Why so?
Yeah, so, when I first heard that Joseph had died and it was ruled a heart attack, I had no reason to, really doubt that. I certainly didn't suspect foul play or anything like that. But now, just given the series of events, the pattern, and then with this recording surfacing, at this point, to not re-examine would just seem reckless. So, and, knowing that there is the possibility that someone could ingest something or, be fed something that could mimic a heart attack or even trigger a heart attack or some kind of cardiac arrest. I just want to make sure law enforcement is doing their due diligence.
So Lori and your brother Joe had been divorced for years, but they were going through a bitter custody battle, in part because of Tylee, your niece. Before he died, they were they were sort of struggling with this. And you, if I understand correctly, spoke to Lori after he died. And she said something to you about the mattress that he died on that caught you off guard. Could you share that with me?
Yes, so Lori had invited me to come out to Phoenix to be a support to Tylee. This was after Joseph had died, and she didn't tell me he was dead. So...
I'm sorry, what? He didn't tell you that he died?
No, Lori didn't tell me my brother had died. I didn't find out for 5 weeks. That he had died. A letter had been mailed out to family members, and a family member contacted me to let me know. So I contacted Lori thinking she must not know because they had been estranged. And when I contacted her, she told me that she knew. But then she asked me to come out to be a support to Tylee. So I was really upset, but wanted to be a support to Tylee and reconnect with Tylee. I hadn't seen her in a long time. So when I was out there, Lori was telling me about the condition of the mattress, and she went into really inappropriate level of detail, describing the state of decomposition of Joe's body and the state of the mattress, and it was grotesque. I had to ask her to stop. But in kind of reprocessing everything, I put that on a shelf of like, well, wait a minute, was she there? Because it doesn't seem like details that an officer would let someone know. So there are just a number of factors like that now they, in the context of everything else, they seem suspicious to me.
So maybe she had access to his home, was able to get in there and actually see it herself?
That's what I wonder. She also had a stack of his photo albums as well as files. So she just had stacks and stacks of his files. And she told me that 2 officers let her and Tylee go into his apartment, and that's when she collected all of the files. But again, that's another point where it's like, well, why would law enforcement allow her to go through all of his personal files and actually extract them from his home? When she would tell me these different things, her affect was off. She gets into this kind of manic state, and when she's describing something, she just has like this inappropriate like enthusiasm, like she is somehow getting something from the retelling of the story. There's not like that that decorum that you would kind of expect. Like, I'm talking to the sister of this man. Maybe I shouldn't share, this detail. She just didn't have that internal editor.
I mean, obviously, it's emotional even recounting it here. How would you interact with her when she would seem gleeful talking about your brother's passing?
So one of the things that she consistently said whenever I would start to show any kind of grief, like even if my eyes just missed it, she would go into this campaigning mode. And her favorite thing to say was, the world is a better place without Joe Ryan in it. And so, it's very shocking to hear someone talk about another human being with such total disregard.
I'm sorry she had to go through it and you had to witness it. Do you believe there was a financial motivation that might have led to Joe's death? Would Lori have benefited if he passed?
That's what I'm trying to chase down. So, everything with Lori comes down to money and power, And so I do suspect that there was a financial incentive. Even Lori's push to have Tylee get her GED. So she had gotten her GED in December, right before all of this stuff happened between her and Charles. This was December 2018. And then they started the emancipation process, but it looks like it was cut short. And so, knowing that was kind of underway, it does make me wonder if Lori was trying to expedite access to, some kind of trust fund or the life insurance money. I don't know. It's all speculative, but I do suspect that finances were a significant motive.
So in the recording that you provided, there's a portion where Lori is accusing your brother of having sexually abused Tylee, and actually her brother as well. Your response to those claims?
That's a tough one. I wasn't there. There were 3 people who knew what happened, and now there's 1 person who knows the truth. What I can speak to is, in reviewing a lot of these court filings that date back to, I think, 2005, there was a solid pattern where therapists noted that Lori was pressuring Tylee to make an outcry. And so we know from Joe's former attorney, Keith Taniguchi, that Joe already had gone through a criminal trial, was found innocent. Then he had 2 additional waves of investigations following allegations, from Colby. So this guy was pulled through the keyhole backwards again and again and again. So I don't know what happened, but given this background of these allegations, concerns that Lori was pressuring her kids to make an outcry, her statement that after Joe was afforded visitation again, telling a therapist death would be an option before allowing Tylee to have visitation restored with her father. All of these things indicate a pattern of what would appear to me to be a malignant narcissist, just at every turn trying to alienate Tylee from her father.
So last time you saw Lori was after your brother had passed. And I gather in those discussions she probably shared with you some of her beliefs about the end of the world, something she's talked about quite a bit.
Right. Yeah, so that was something that was very new. Like, she had always been open about her faith. I'm not LDS, so a lot of the things I didn't really absorb. But on this trip, she made 3 different references to the end times. And by the 3rd time, I was just kind of like, what do you want me to do with this information? Like, I had no grid for it. And, but she was like trying to alert me to how scary the end times would be. And she does have a proclivity toward hyperbole, so I'll say that. But she said, in talking about how scary it would be, she said, sometimes I think it might be better just to put my kids in a car and go over the side of a cliff. And when she said that, it was just shocking. I just said, Lori, no. And, I had never heard a parent say something like that. Even joking, because she did immediately try to walk it back. She saw the shock, and she was like, oh, Annie, I'm just kidding. I would never hurt my kids. And, so she was desperately trying to walk it back and recant. But, there was no unringing that bell. That really was the end of our relationship.
Annie, I know this is hard to talk about. I appreciate you coming on today.
Thank you.
I wish you the best as you sort through all this.
Thank you.
And I am sorry about Tylee.
Thank you.
Lori Daybell and Chad Daybell have pleaded not guilty to the charges they are currently facing, and it is important to note they have not been formally accused of any murders at this time. We're going to continue to keep you posted as these investigations unfold. I'll be right back. Be sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss anything. And remember to check back often to see what's new.